Welcome to Module 3 of Statutory Valuation. In this module we start to look at the principles of compensation. Really these next two modules, this one and the next, form one topic, which is looking at how compensation valuation is actually done in practice. So it's quite the most important part of this course, and you'll find it quite a core topic for your assignment, apart from being the most practical side in many respects for your valuation careers. As you go through the textbook, it's important that you relate it to the Act, primarily the Queensland Act that we're asking you to read, and or the state legislation that applies in your own state. Later on we'll be looking at the Commonwealth legislation and making some comparisons there. It's important that you keep your antenna up to look at the way that these headings or heads of compensation are set up, what they mean, what they are made from. There's standards for them that you need to become very familiar with. You'll find that mentioned both in the Act but more specifically in the textbook. The textbook reading is only part of Chapter 3 in Brown. You've probably already noticed that Brown has very few chapters, but some of them are quite sizable, and especially this one. So we're asking you to read the first 30 pages of Chapter 3. If you want to read more, that's fine. For those of you who have access to other texts, especially Rost and Collins, which is now a little bit dated, but it's excellently laid out and very clear, but also Hyam's textbook, you might find those useful too, because as I say, this is a very practical topic and one where the stronger the feel you have for it, the better you'll come out as statutory valuers. The last resource which I think you ought to start thinking about looking at is the example of a compensation valuation that you'll find on the Property Gateway. There's a shortcut link in the learning activities for Module 3 to take you into the Gateway, and you'll find that all of the sample valuation reports are there. Download the compensation report and look through it. When you go through the compensation report, just beware that the heads of compensation and the method of attempting the valuation that you may want to apply to your assignment may not necessarily be the same as those shown in the example report. That's because typically particular jobs will perhaps emphasize some of the heads of compensation more than others, and in some cases it'll leave out one or two if they're not applicable. Likewise, there are several methods of valuation, and so the sample obviously only takes one of those, whereas you need to be aware that there's more than one approach. You'll find all that in the readings we go through. I hope you enjoy this section and also the statutory valuation for rating purposes, which is towards the end of the course, are really the two most practical areas of it, and so they really do deserve your attention.